that we uphold council decisions. We do not bring council into disrepute, and ideally, let's all be nice and friendly to each other. It may be a difficult meeting, but let's please try and treat everybody with respect. Okay, well, what I would like to do first is, because there are an awful lot of stuff that could be confidential and could involve personal details, I think we should go into closed session. So could I have a mover and a seconder for going into closed session?
I don't think we need to go into closed in relation to CBA. To the CBA.
I don't know, just, does everybody want to stay in open session for the CBA?
Yeah.
Because I think we need general managers input as well on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not excluding the general managers just because we are in closed session. People think, well, if anybody decides that there is any personal information, could I have a move?
Just let me think. How do other people feel about going into closed? Sorry, I'm a bit.
Initially, I don't think there's any need.
Yeah.
No, the unexpected will be.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I just a bit slow processing. Good.
Okay, well, the first thing I want to do with the difficulties in accessing the CBA loan, and I think we should suspend standing orders. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll move from the chair that we suspend standing orders. All in favour?
Probably need a seconder.
I don't.
I think the last.
Yeah, no, it's okay, because the one thing that I was really confused about with the difficulties accessing the CBA loan was the attitude of Walker, and in particular in Councillor Kermode's motion, that he notes that the general manager and the CFO of Newar agreed to supply documents which weren't supplied. And I sent an email around with all the documents that were supplied. So I'd really be interested to know which ones weren't supplied. This was just sent around as a separate email. It wasn't formally put into the agenda.
That question was answered by our mayor just before 1 o'clock.
Oh, was it?
Well, I'm not privy. I haven't seen that. So
Yeah, no, okay, I know he's right. Concerns from the auditors, OLG, and the minister's office. But none of these concerns at the time of the Walker meeting were conveyed to anybody else here, were they? And if so, what were they?
actually, can I just ask that if we've suspended, please talk about where we're up to the line first.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Rather than
Yeah,
Can we go that way?
what is young Walker, which
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I've been in contact with Sally Nichols this morning and also with the OLG, and we're still sort of grinding the wheels of bureaucracy. In other words, Sally is still talking to her risk management people, and they'll get back to me as soon as possible. And the OLG will get back to me as soon as possible.
I'm even concerned when Tim and Laurie did the runaround to all the councils, so, we need to loan them. The only intended factor was that councils need to sign the guarantees, and the loan would be approved the next day. Now this pops up. Where has this come from, and why are we doing it?
It's come from the bank. So on the 12th of April, they sent us the bank documentation, which was, I immediately copied it to Councillor Robinson, and I'm assuming you've all seen it, but we reject. Okay, well, I provided that information. I'm not sure, Councillor Bell, if I sent it to you or not. Okay.
So I can't guarantee anything. Please.
So I'm the dad here. I actually printed all this stuff out, so I can hand it around to the other side of the table if you want to see it. But the relevant section, if you permit me to, or trust me.
It was only 2 sentences.
I think I'm really concerned that the shopping list, no matter whether it needs amending or something else pops up, I don't have a list of 1 to 10 that says we need to do this, we need to do that, or someone's just said we need to do this. Okay, that's where we're at. It's just this whole diaspora of muddle is just too much.
I
For
don't,
me
Yeah.
to comprehend. I can't do an email, there's someone half that, I spoke to this person, that I did it. It needs to be, you get a loan, we want a loan, and these are the things we have to step through to get to that point. And I just don't have that in front of me. I can say, right, we're down to number 8. Now someone has said we need to do so, let's get that in place, and what are we gonna do? I'm over the whole understanding.
I do have this in front of me.
Yes, well, I just got an email from the bank saying that they need a letter signed by, I was about to pass it on. We will need a letter signed by the minister confirming approval of the borrowing, or a letter confirming approval by the minister from the Office of Local Government, New South Wales.
And we're not going to get that. No, we're not going to get that.
Yeah, we
At the
probably.
moment, we don't know.
Is it approval or notifications required?
Huh?
Is it approval or notification?
Because have you raised, as I
Is there a
understand,
legislative requirement versus someone's email? I don't trust what people are writing in emails. I don't trust what people are writing in emails, because words are getting confused about required, maybe, needed, authority, approved, notified. I can't bring it together.
this is my understanding of it, that the bank's documentation, Annexure B, sets out, I'm happy to pass this around because I've marked it up with green pen. Sets out their conditions precedent to the loan, so it's on.
Is it short?
It's very, very short.
Yeah,
Can you read it out, please?
I'm very happy, and I'll read it slowly, so,
And that was given out on the 12th,
yeah.
after everybody had signed the guarantee and was stated that that's all that was required. It's
Yeah.
come out again on the 12th. No, we need more stuff. Yeah,
Yes,
and then we
Yeah.
go back to an email from Karen Bishop sent through Dorothy on the April 24th at 6:41 p.m. You know, we are seeking legal advice as to the nature and status of the county council's borrowings, given that you are not recognised for loans by TCOR.
Yeah.
So it says there, we're not going to be getting this loan.
oh, I don't think so. I don't read it that way. The CBA is,
Don't put my house on, but we're not. It's all right.
I'd be careful, at the time it's just a glass house. What the conditions precedent in this is documentation from CBA, and it's dated the 9th of April, and it's under the hand of Sally Nichols. But relevantly, what they need and what the sticking point is this paragraph C in Annexure B, which is the general terms and conditions. And here it says evidence of the following having been obtained or fulfilled. The approval of the minister or lodgement of an appropriate notification of borrowing return in the required form with the state government. And it's got in brackets, as applicable, if the council is located in New South Wales.
So all the required form, as far as I know, has been changed. And
Well,
all councils have to go through a process of applying for that money that was all given out before.
No.
Correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong.
you are. Because no,
It's very low, not for.
this is, that's the WAC.
That's the WAC funding.
Correct.
Yeah, no, we're talking about.
CBA loans.
Oh,
Okay, so that's part of the documentation that's come from the CBA, and it would appear that their officer now is interpreting that as that where it says the minister's approval, or
I don't think they'll correspond.
they don't. They absolutely do not.
No, but the same person is involved. Minister.
No, I don't think so. No, I understand what you're saying. As far as I know, Karen Bishop is insisting on something. Sorry, Sally Nichols, who from CBA, is insisting on something above and beyond what her own documentation says.
Well, that's regardless, because they've got the money. So they can ask whatever.
Has she been apprised of the possibility that she's over over asking or should
At
we compliance?
the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because it's Commonwealth Bank, they've got the money, they can ask for whatever they want. If they're
Well,
not
no, I
going to give
don't
us the
agree with
money.
that. I think I actually think there's some human error involved here.
Right.
I really do, that the officer is actually not.
Yeah, and look, I fully disagree with the assertion that the reason this OLG determination has come through is because we can't get the borrowings. That is not why the
Oh, no,
OLG determined
it's
put the
clearly-
administrator.
It's clearly a multiplicity of factors, but the factors are fairly identifiable from the letter from Honig or under Honig's letter.
I would only say on that. Spectra is we either get money from a loan to liquidate the obligations we have to build it otherwise, or we're heading to our councils.
That's right. And that's,
So I'm just saying that, you know, I also appreciate that this person sitting in the documents in Victoria, which is commercial lending, as it should be, no one localised, no one in New South Wales either, so it's. But I just want to get this pathway, if there's someone's interpreted.
So, Dorothy, and.
We need a pathway to success.
Why?
Or start.
Nichols is now asking for something above and beyond what's in the written word of their terms, the terms and conditions in Appendix B of the offer, because we have, this is an offer, and the only variation in the offer is coming from this email, which seems to be a variance.
So just answering that original question, we have received offer documents which all the councillors received copies of. And it said what it said.
And that document,
Yeah, and when on the 12th of April, we got the actual loan agreement, which included, and I did send it to Councillor Robinson, there was 5 attachments to it,
yeah, those,
which were the security guarantees, but the actual loan agreement,
yeah,
as I read through that, there was a statement that they required the acknowledgement, careful not to use the word approval, they required the acknowledgement of the Office of Local Government to the granting of this loan, putting it in simple terms. So that was the first I heard of it, which was the 12th of
there's a big
April.
difference between approval and acknowledgement.
Yes, well, I've sent, hopefully everyone has seen the actual documentation, because I've sent it out many, many times.
well,
Where I've actually included the clause that the bank used in their correspondence. So I said, look, let there be no confusion. I just cut and paste the clause, and everyone has seen that. that
Mr.
clause.
Chairman, that 1 hour ago, Sally Nichols is saying, thank you for your patience, and Dorothy, confirming we need a letter signed by the Minister confirming approval of the borrowing. So it doesn't matter whether you cut and paste or send something. At this point in time, their inference, or their belief is that they need X. It's only an hour ago, I get it, but whatever you're saying is still not accepted by the bank. It's not accepted because an hour ago, Sally Nichols has written, I need confirming approval. Now, she might be wrong, but at this current time, that is her belief. She's got the money.
Yes, I think we'd all be served if we could dial down the rhetoric a little bit. I'm trying to answer questions, and I'm trying to be very factual.
Absolutely,
about
but it's been superseded. So, sorry, Mr. Chairman, the matter has been superseded. Your answer is superseded. They're superseded by events of the borrowing company that says 1 hour ago. Doesn't matter what you've sent before, and I appreciate you've sent it, but now it's superseded. So I don't have time to say.
Have you read it?
Well, I've read the email that the bank's just sent.
No, have you read what I sent?
I
sent out?
I have evidence from the bank
Yes,
that says we will need a letter signed by the Minister confirming approval of borrowing.
yes, which is consistent with what the bank said on the 12th of April. So she's not saying anything new. That's consistent with the condition that was included in the contract. Now, everyone can jump up and down with me, but I knew nothing about it until the 12th of April. On the 13th, I started this discussion with the Office of Local Government, and I had in total, I've had 4 phone discussions with 1 or more people, and I've also had 3 written exchanges of email. But that came to an end when our chair contacted the Office of Local Government And since then, they haven't spoken with me. So, you know, I've on receiving the documents, I worked to the best of my ability to find out what was going on. But when I contacted them Friday week ago, so not Friday, the week before last Friday, they said, we are currently dealing with your chair and we will provide any updates via that means. So, I mean, basically they said, you know, go away, we'll talk to your chairperson, which is where I sit at the moment. But if you read the actual documentation that I circulated, it says a letter from the minister in that documentation.
So that's different to what you've got in front of you, is it?
No,
Oh, sorry, what I just passed over.
yes,
Yeah, well, we all interpreted that as that was just an abbreviation to the actual detail clauses. But
I mean, has someone got a copy of it there? I mean, I can find it and print it out.
I printed it out because that's what I think of.
So I think it's about page 18 or something.
It's the CBA, is it?
Yeah, buried in the guts of things.
Way I read banks, I feel that CBA doesn't want to know us and they're not going to lend us any money.
At 10 o'clock this morning, the chair wrote to Sally, and respectfully, the OLG is still unsure what exactly the risk department requires and asked for clarification about the term, lodgement of notification of borrowing return, whether evidence for needing to the OLG containing the desired form will suffice. Their answer, thank you for your patience, confirming we will need a letter signed by the minister confirming approval of the borrowing, or a letter confirming approval by the minister from the Office of Local Government.
Yes, and just finishing my answer, so I received that on the 12th. On the 13th, I contacted the Office of Local Government to seek their advice as to what that actually meant. And I also contacted the bank, Commonwealth Bank, and I said, there is a new condition in here. Can you please confirm, because we had sought the approval of the minister some 6 or 7 months earlier. So I sent them a copy of that document seeking approval and said, will this satisfy your requirement? And they confirmed back to me, they being the bank, confirmed back to me saying, no, this is what we require. And then, just for the sake of clarification, clause C requires evidence of the following having been obtained or fulfilled. 1, the approval of the minister, or it's been sort of highlighted out through here, or
Lodgement of
an appropriate notification of borrowing return, which we did provide. The notification of borrowing return as a formal.
You provided it to.
I provided it in July of 23 to T Corp.
Yeah, is TikTok part
Yeah.
of OLG?
OLG is part of T Corp, yes, and they're one of the same
Right.
in this regard. Okay, so I raised a question. I said, well, we've provided a proposed borrowing return. Here's a copy of it. Here's also acknowledgement from T Corp that they received it. Will that do? And the bank wrote back to me via Sally and said, no, what we need is acknowledgement from the department that that's all in order.
So
And
that's,
acknowledgement can only come from the minister.
I don't know that that's true as I understand it.
Regardless of what we think or what we know is true, or whatever.
I'd like to meet councillor Arundel. No, I really would like to.
We're just in half an hour talking.
And we need to meet half an hour.
Yeah.
It's serious.
And I mean, all I'm saying is that's the sequence of events. That's the factual sequence of events. Got the documents, saw something that had never been mentioned to any of us before, raised the question with the Commonwealth Bank, who came back with the same response they've just sent an hour ago. But we had that response on the 13th. And I went to the Office of Local Government on the 13th, and I had a conference call with two of the OLG staff, and then subsequently had a call with Karen Bishop, who's the director, and I've subsequently had calls with two OLG staff members again. And at that point, I'm out of the equation now. I mean, if everyone's, you know, dealing with people and getting emails back and forth, and I don't even know what they say.
No, only our chair is doing that.
Yeah, well,
Nobody else is.
And they're still seeking various advice.
yes,
They're trying to escalate it. The last email from Karen Bishop was this morning. And she says normally that will be part of the CapEx review. And as we have discussed with Tim and Laurie, not sure if the email on 12th of April provides appropriate documentary proof. Also, can you confirm what you mean by borrowing return? So again, the OLG is completely at cross purposes with the bank as to what they require.
The bank is not going to loan us money with the revenue administrator hanging over our heads. So I think discussing.
You're not the bank, you don't know. I mean, we actually need, sorry, I apologise, but I think that's just alarmist.
It's just got to
I'm more realist,
But with respect, that what's happened an hour ago means the status has not changed. Doesn't matter what we said in April the 13th or received. It's either a cross interpretation, across whatever it is, money ain't coming because, and trying to tell the bank to suck eggs and say they're wrong.
Oh, no.
It's going to be, maybe sensational on that, but the point is, it ain't there. And to go back and say, we've done this and done this and done this isn't good enough. So either someone's got to get on the phone and say, this is what this means, that's what that means, we've provided that. Oh, yes, you have. No, you haven't. That's not good enough for my risk department. We're not going anywhere. And I don't take the point of saying that everyone else is in emails or otherwise. The chair who works with you to get this resolved has had to maybe stepped in at some point. And that's not fair to.
well,
Don't dismiss it.
I'll explain that statement by saying you referred to an email that I have no knowledge of. Okay, so
thank you.
you know, I have not had any communication with the Office of Local Government since 2 Fridays ago. Any communication, be it by email, be it by phone, be it by Teams meeting or video conference, etc.
So with respect, you're confirming that in the last 2 weeks you haven't taken any action on this one.
No, I'm not at all. Not at all.
So when
Not saying that.
I was instructed by the OLG that they were now dealing with someone else. And they instructed me when I was making a phone call following up on this very issue. So look,
So the question is back to the chair. Chair, did you ask the gentleman to stand down on that?
I emailed, and it may be that the OLG has made, I emailed the OLG saying, please deal with the general manager.
So there was no cease and desist order to the general manager.
No, there was.
Well, we don't need to write to the OLG to say, can you please deal with the general manager?
20, the day after I heard that they'd asked him to stand, well, I didn't even know, they didn't tell me that they'd asked him to stand down.
they didn't ask me to stand down.
Yeah.
There is, I assume everyone knows it, but there is a protocol with government bodies that they deal with the most senior person they are having contact with. And whether it's Local Government New South Wales, which is a Shires Association, it's not a government body, but in particular when it's a government body, they go to the highest person because they say, look, we want to deal at the top of the tree because we could be talking to Tim Weeks, but we now have the chairperson speaking with us. And there is a dividing line between political and operational staff. And a chair is a political person, a council is a political person. So once that area is stepped into, then They didn't say cease and desist. I contacted, no secret, Frank de Lima, who's the finance manager in this department, reports to Karen Bishop, and he just said, look, we're dealing with your chair, best to speak with her. So that's it. I mean, I think it's important just to be accurate with these things and to keep all of the accusations and finger pointing and all the rest of it, because it's not helpful.
We were confirming that you had said that you have not in the last 2 weeks had correspondence or a discussion or a phone call with OLG. That's a simple fact.
Correct.
It's a simple fact.
Yes.
But that's a simple fact.
Yes.
Don't say that we,
Yeah, no, we'll keep it.
yeah, but that was a simple fact that I said. I was reiterating and said that.
Yeah.
So, and I asked you,
Yeah.
Madam Chair, whether you had asked him to cease and desist on any phone calls or otherwise. Tell me that the protocol is now that it's in your seat.
And I'm not saying the protocol is, I'm telling you the events that happened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we keep wanting to put words into the OLG, and we want to put words into the mouths of the CBA, and in particular want to put words into my mouth, but I'm trying to keep it factually accurate because these things matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, and whether you say that you haven't seen, I take that on face value that you haven't seen the latest correspondence,
No.
is that we're telling you as a board that at 12:14 there is an email from Sally saying we still require X, Y, Z.
We still
So
require
it doesn't matter what has been done in the past.
Yeah.
Their current belief at 12:14, you are under advisement that that's what they need. So we either sit here and find a plan out of this and have an action plan to say, sorry, Sally, you're wrong. We believe you're wrong, and we've got someone else on the line saying that you're wrong and this should be enough for you. Or we've got an alternative plan of action, which is go back to our councils and say, it's because this isn't going anywhere. And we've got legal action over our heads. So time is of the essence, right?
I understand all of that. And I also explained that I questioned exactly the question that you've raised of Sally on the 13th of April, and I got exactly the same response. So, you know, the assumption is a bit that I've been sitting here just twiddling my thumbs doing nothing. But I immediately followed it up with 24 hours and immediately got an answer, which was communicated to say, no, I've checked with the Commonwealth Bank and this is their response. And I sent a copy of the response. And I noticed then, since then, it's been proposed half a dozen times that we contact the Commonwealth Bank again. And I've said, well, it's been asked and answered, but we've contacted them again and we got the same answer. So
so we need to now move forward.
So the next part of this equation is that we do have some correspondence from Karen Bishop, is it?
Karen Bishop.
Karen
she
Bishop,
likes to be known as, yes.
sorry, saying subsequent to that, that OLG do not give ministerial approvals. Is that?
So that was an email on April 24. Hi, Councillor Robinson. Thanks for your email. As we discussed in detail in the last year, OLG does not provide formal approval for loan as such. However, we are seeking to obtain legal advice as to the nature and status of Canning Council's borrowings, given that they are not recognised for loans by TCOM. We appreciate the time-sensitive nature of this request and are endeavouring to determine a way forward as soon as possible.
See, it seems to me we're now in a catch-22 because for some reason the minister has issued this suspension order, which may be affecting OLG's ability to process the application, which is what you were saying.
Well, we've got an email from the OLG that says don't provide that, and we'll be in contact as soon as possible.
To try and sort it out.
The next Friday we get a letter saying from the OLG, it's the same people that we're going to appoint an administrator. So that's their response.
So, well, maybe we should adjourn for a few minutes and make a query, a telephone query to Karen Bishop and putting that proposition to her. Is this your response? And because of that letter, you're no longer dealing. I mean, would you be willing to, it would be a phone call, and I recommend that both the general manager and the chair make that phone call.
No, I think we're avoiding the most important thing we need to discuss today is the reply to the OLG.
I'm not ruling it, I'm just having this.
This is definitely part of it. It's almost certainly the reason why.
Well, I'd like to hear from Sally Nichols why they're demanding a letter of approval as opposed when they've been told that, you know, appropriate notification of borrowing is okay. So why is that a sticking point?
Okay, and just background information, I've gone above Sally to the head of the local government lending department, whatever it is, the department that, with the CDA, the department that deals with the local government, to confirm that point. So I received the information from Sally, went to her boss, and I know quite well and had a very big, you know, detailed conversation as to where we're up to, what do we need to do, what can we do, and got the same answer.
So they basically amended the letter of offer.
I mean, you put in, you know.
Yeah, sorry, okay.
Okay, you need to work that out yourselves and ask that question. But you know, not twiddling my thumbs. I've spoken with Joseph. His name is Joseph de Vries, and I've spoken with him as recently as this weekend. I spoke to him actually on Anzac Day when he was on holiday for the week. So it's been aggressively progressed, but we're at a point where I can give you a bit more background to it, but I'm not prepared to do that while there's a recording going.
Yeah, well, let's suspend. Or do we want to go into the session then?
Is this being recorded?
Yes,
Yes.
well, let's go into closed
Go
session.
into closed confidential session, turn that off or stop that.
Mhm.
No, we need a motion first.
So I'll move that motion.
You have a second then?
About what? Moving out.
But moving into confidential.
Yes.
All in favour?
Forward.
All in favour, right. Carried. Well,
I seconded.
all in favour of going into open session?
Yeah.
So that, how many, 1, 2,
Not me.
3, and how many, what are your thoughts?
But Margaret voted to come out. So.
You voted to come out, okay, that's the majority to come out then, so we're in open session then.
Yeah, and really, so
We will be talking.
I think it's a good idea. I really do that. But anyway, we won't go any further with that.
What do you want to speak about?
No, now we're in open session. I'm not saying.
You can speak up. My concern is we're going to deal with the minister. Okay? The minister is going to deal with us.
No, I don't know what it's doing, to be honest.
We better turn it back on.
It's probably just gone off.
Well, I've seen it. I bought it, but I was that flustered about finding a car park in 2 minutes. I got up here early, I've got my tie, my glasses, my hat, my coat,
Yeah,
hold
hold
on.
on.
Yeah,
That was a cricket.
Cricket, back.
Indian cricket.
Yeah, it's the web funding. Is it's been reclassified as a grant, but it wasn't always, it up until the Minns government, in the web funding was had characterised as a contract, was it?
Well, I'm sure that we can actually pay for legal advice about whether it's true that this regulation 229 says that county councils can't borrow money.
Well, we can't.
Well, we have, the normal interpretation of that legislation would be some.
Regardless of whether you want to plan professional control, have one thing on the spot, excuse me, we've got the
Yeah,
response.
we can borrow from the CBA, obviously.
So you're happy recording has started?
Thank you very much.
We probably can borrow.
We're not in that position at the moment. We're not in that position, yeah.
We just borrow money.
Yeah, that may change, but at this point of time, we cannot borrow money.
Point taken and agreed. Back to the chair. I think the general consensus is the board acknowledges there's concerns raised by the minister and supports or doesn't support the appointment of an administrator. I'm getting to the point, I know, but I think this discussion has to be done.
Yeah, no, I support that, Councillor Bell. I thought it was best to discuss where we're at in terms of the
Yes.
and
Yeah,
the individual officers, but
we
now
started
that-
going over some old stuff that got me a bit on edge, but,
Yeah.
and I'm not into finger pointing, I'm just not into that.
No, we found ourselves in a very difficult position.
Absolutely.
And how do we get out of it? Is, I take it you're suggesting we just did not accede to an administrator. Is that,
Well,
this is sort of not about making.
I think member councils will support an administrator, is that correct?
It is.
I don't know.
We haven't asked them yet.
No, I said this is coming from me.
And we probably need to ask them.
Well,
Well, we got the representatives from all the councils.
Yeah.
And it's no time to go. We've got till Friday to respond. So,
and something will be done within the 7 days, you know that. I've read,
on receipt of
I've
the,
read the,
The expiration of it, we have 7 days.
there, yes. Anyway.
is anyone going to resolve for the last item? And for the success of the city council.
Closed session.
I don't see that if there's a natural pathway to becoming solvent, that there's not much option. If I was to I want to send a program of this is what we would like to be able to achieve to stave off administration. But ultimately, if I can't see a finance in the way, if the loan was coming through, I could say, you know what,
Well,
we can trade out. Yeah.
Well, the loan.
But I'm only just talking openly.
Yeah,
But
no. Sorry for
I
interrupting.
don't feel that without setting out a program of intent, I can do much more than accept. Unless,
Yeah, so the only other thing would be to,
because insolvency, I can't solve insolvency.
I agree. I could care less.
unless the member councils want to do something.
What do you mean?
No, if you've got a proposal, have you seen the proposal for funding?
Yeah, I have.
Or is that not a big enough item to?
I have got a proposal for funding. However, it's a discussion that's going to take longer than 7 days.
You haven't got it.
That's exactly right. And I honestly don't think by doing it that we're going to defend our administration.
So you can work with the administrator with that submission you're talking about, which
Maybe you could share that.
Yeah. Well, look, I would like to see. I'm just going to say, Tim, I apologise. I think you've been up against it, but under my proposal, I would see you dismissed as GM. Dorothy, I apologise, but I would ask for your resignation as chair. And I think we need a whole new leadership of this organisation. We need a new GM appointed, and we need to, first and foremost, and I think we forget about it through all our discussions here, is that we've got staff at the door here that are relying on us to keep their pockets full of the week.
that's at the point I want.
We've got Rice Constructions that is owed $440,000. Now, I don't know a builder that can work on a $1.7 million build and make more than $170,000. So that's not just his profit margin, that's things that he owes, that's things that he's paying interest on that he owes. How I can see our way out of that is by asking our member councils to give us a loan.
For Rice or for everything.
I'd ask our member councils for a $600,000 loan, paid back over 10 years at an interest rate of 5 to 6%.
This would be after administration.
But I put this together wanting to fend off an administrator. I honestly think that we're not going to do that.
not the way the ministers.
Well, the cleanest way might be, I don't agree with aspects of it.
That's fine, that's
But
good.
the cleanest way might be that we just set out our site, how we want there, and then just say, but we leave it to the minister to determine, whether he wants to appoint an administrator or not. Because the problem is actually, okay, maybe there's two problems. That audit is a problem. Engagement close, that's part of the problem. But the major problem is the insolvency, and that relates.
I don't think it is. I don't think the major part of this is the insolvency. We can trade that way. If we receive the MAP funding, we're no longer insolvent. If we receive a loan or a bailout from our councils, we're no longer insolvent. The big issue that we have here is our governance and financials. And that was addressed in the ALG rating report. That's what we need to address. That's what the ALG are on.
Well, I don't.
No, I don't
Sorry,
agree.
think that is 600,000.
No, the WAP's only got 464.
So the builder.
And from all accounts, I've been told rumors, so like I haven't heard directly, but I heard our last pay run was the 1st of April. That was from my general manager. Is that the case? Yeah. And where does our funds in bank at the moment sit to pay our wages?
Well, when we
Should
first started getting involved with this,
we shut this
For a
down?
committee vote, we're a committee of.
I don't think there's any private matter here that needs to be confidential.
yes. One of the things that I did from January time was anticipated cash flow issues. And so we started a process of restricting our expenditure, managing our expenditure. And that has enabled us to move the date, which when I was first asked, what can we do? And I said, well, we can probably get to about the end of March time. And then extended it to say we can do the first pay run in April time, et cetera. So that's the situation we're in. And what impacts it is the money we're able to collect in, because we still are in business, we're still raising invoices, and we still have.
So can I just question that, being insolvent, can we still?
Not with $440,000, no.
Trading loss and so.
Yeah,
Can we continue to trade, knowing that we are insolvent?
Not without breaking the law.
We're not going to break any law.
I mean, we've learned that in this meeting this morning. You've said with Tim that we are currently insolvent. Can we continue? Is it against the law to continue to trade?
we're a government entity, which I wouldn't answer that without getting some advice. I'm not an expert on government.
What about,
Government governance is what it is, not commercial law.
tell me what people think about this, that the member councils acknowledge the critical nature of the services provided by NURIC and would be highly supportive of working with the administrator to resolve the governance and financial issues to ensure the continuation of these critical services. And this is something we've got to do. One of my thing that sticks in here is you've got 6, 7 people working here,
9, yeah.
9, whatever, and they have to be paid somehow. And I'll make sure they're paid somehow, even if I've got to go around to our member councils and ask for money to be paid.
For the pay run, but
Absolutely. Now, these people live some from fortnight to fortnight. And I don't want to see any suicides or stress coming from this.
no.
Okay?
Mm.
So no matter what happens, I think the quicker we move on this, the better it is for them. And if it doesn't happen as quick as I want it to happen, I'm going to ask the chair to ask member councils to put in the dollars you say it costs to run those 9. Let's say it's 20 grand or whatever it is a council.
Well, hang on,
Anyway,
the statement has been made that I'm being held responsible for all of this.
No.
no. Well, you're partly responsible. Are you partly responsible?
Yes,
Accepted,
as,
okay?
as everyone here is.
Well, we're getting to a point,
Tim is right. Look,
so I'm stepping away from that.
yeah, I think.
Okay, that discussion for another day, as far as I'm concerned. I'm about the finances. Trying to fix the financial position of this council. As
Okay.
councillor Packham said there about 10 minutes ago, and what he said, he came out and said about 3 lines that summed it all up. And I totally agree with it. I'm just trying to move on with that to get something
No,
done.
I support what you're saying. Maybe.
And involving other camps that support
What
of
you
council.
s- So what we need is a resolution requesting some immediate,
Which one?
bridge funding from our member council.
Well, do we?
Well, we've got to get a figure.
Sorry?
When do we run out, Tim?
I'm hoping to pay today's payroll today.
That's great news.
But, yeah, and I know you ignore all of this. I've been
No, I
working
don't.
on this since.
It's more personal than us. This is about.
Yeah, well,
Well, you are. This is about
We
business.
don't all support councillor Arundel's proposal.
okay, so I spent 20 years of my life working in corporate turnaround, so I've got a little bit of experience. And I forget exactly what the question was, but I'm hoping to pay the current payroll today, which means we're not due to pay the next payroll until 2 weeks from now.
But everyone needs to be put on leave.
Sorry?
You have to put people on administrative furlough, or they all need to be stood down and put on leave. Because you're only accruing more and more liability the longer that they stay working.
Well, that's with the greatest respect, a decision for the councillors.
It's operational, don't it?
Can I suggest, I mean,
Yes, you may.
please, thanks.
I'm not chairing this. There's
No,
chairing.
through the chair, I apologise, Dorothy. If we take this view, which does appeal to me, we say we want to work with the administrator, but we're asking you to appoint an administrator because the solution is beyond our power.
Yeah.
And there is nothing, we haven't done anything wrong in a moral sense, I don't think, but nevertheless, we are not capable of a solution. And the cleanest and simplest way would be to ask the minister to allow us to work with the administrator or an appointed administrator, put in place a performance improvement order if they wish, if the minister wishes, but which is consistent with us remaining here, but basically say, can you please bring an administrator in straight away? That won't replace Tim, but it will replace us. And just.
Yeah, look, fair enough, but this is the only way forward.
Well, I mean, it mitigates our reputational loss because we can tell us, yes, it is.
The minute the administrator walks into this door, the reputational damage is lasting.
Yep.
And
Oh, okay.
as a council that started the year in September, it's
It
enormous.
sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, but,
Yeah, it's a lot more boxes. I've got a tick on
But
things.
this guy over here already put that in his council, so don't.
that's a
No.
proposal.
No, but
Give us a better one, but
I'm gonna tell you-
support sacking people.
I'm going to tell you that having an administrator probably has better access to emergency funding from the government who might say,
That's where I'm.
Yeah.
I've got a bucket, same as our administrator here came in and said, I've got $2 million, I've got a checkbook, I can maybe solve this or otherwise. Me going back to our GM and asking us to bail this out, I'm then not going to get through the door. And that's just.
Yeah, we're dealing with 4 different councils.
Because I thought if you were going to come off with this tomorrow, this would be a different conversation. That's not happening.
Look, I for one wanted to try and fend off the administrator. I think adamantly, because the reputation damage for this organisation, our councils and ourselves will be long lasting.
Listen, I think the story is actually quite simple. We were told that we could borrow from TCorp, and then we were told that we
That is not the reason this has come about. The funding is not the reason this has come about. If the funding was the only issue, our council would issue a loan and we'd be happy. This is not the only issue.
Well, I believe it is the critical issue because I think, okay, it's not a favourable audit, but it's not as absolutely catastrophic. I think we've had a legacy. Anyway, the best solution is finding a way forward from this, and we can respond to the closing letter in our letter to the minister. But I think I like Tim's, our chairs, through the chair, sorry, Dorothy. I like the approach of just asking for them to appoint the administrator, because we cannot fix this ourselves. We don't have the resources to do
Just a
it.
financial answer.
Because it would have been, sorry, it would have been a bridging, if we had approached our council for a bridging loan until a WAP funding come in, it would have been a different story. But because we had to go back into guarantee a loan, it's just turned it all pear shaped and out of our control. Our council probably, as already has done, basically gave them a bridging loan by forwarding its next year's contribution of 300-something thousand.
I mean,
And we're still not.
I mean, there is a possibility. We could ask the other councils if they wanted to do likewise, because we do have an undertaking from the state government, just wait, that they're going to pay the WAP money at the end of June.
The administrator will.
Our contributions from our councils isn't to pay for a building. Our contributions from our councils is to manage our wages and our services that we've asked the county council.
In the same way that WAP funding is not to pay for a building, WAP funding is for, it's mainly for inspection and some crane services. So any link between WAP funding and capital expenditure is fraud.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Well, I do. I know about WAP funding. I'm the chair of the Regional Works Committee.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I know that's WAP funding.
Councillor Commode.
So, but if you've provided services, then it falls down to equity, and then you're allowed to use equity. So
That's what I say. It's got to be a very arm's length.
the expenses have been obviously incurred. We haven't not done the WAP program.
No, we're not sorry.
Done the WAP program. Use equity.
That's what I say. When you mention it in the context of paying back loans and capital expenditure, then you're asking for trouble.
Well, I support Tim's response here. Originally, like I said, originally I did not. I've met with him earlier today and he formulated a response. Earlier, I did not want to do this. Earlier, I think we could have worked our way out of it with a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices. I mean, another suggestion, and I know Councillor Packham's not with me on this, but I remove any remuneration for councillors on this board for the next 2 terms. There's a saving of $510,000
Yeah,
over 8 years.
that's wrong. That's.
Well, we get paid to do the job we get paid as councillors to do the job for our council. I don't see why we need to be paid again, but that's fine. I understand people don't agree with that. I understand people want the money to sit on this board. That was just one extra way of it shows accountability, it shows sacrifice, and it shows that we're seriously paying off this money. But I think we could. I think at the end of the day, I think we could work our way through this. But I think the sensible thing to do, I think it's just required that we need to ask the minister and say that we support the appointment of an administrator.
I would support that.
But I think what we do within our submission is that we say that we all want to continue the service. Nobody wants to take on the weeds.
Same with
Responsibility.
Same with individual councils. You're talking about individual councils.
No individual council wants to take responsibility.
What I mean,
Not yet.
So I think it's important that we acknowledge that yes, we're in a hole, and we want your help getting us out of it. But we still want this service at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And what is it going to take to provide that service? So
One other thing I said, that the administrator will have access to a bucket of money that they can access. Or more authority to request member councillors to assist than I can. So
And I think that's the key.
send your best back into.
The administrator should be able to sort this out because they've got more power than individual.
Well, they might bring financial control as well, and that will be and a PIO as.
I disagree with that. The administrator can only pay out anybody else, and it's relevant. It's just something that's very.
they
Pick
could
up the pieces.
the thing is they've got connection straight to the minister.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
We get an administrator and a financial controller, which have delegation, so.
And this person will be appointed by the minister, and the minister will not want Newer to not continue. So I believe that's.
Yes.
But I think that in our letter, and if we're going to, well, let's not do any media.
Not doing that media.
No. I'm just thinking of how we present it. We just ask for him. We agree that. I think the solution is beyond our control.
We welcome the appointment of an administrator.
Yeah.
Correct.
Then that will leave you in place too. Okay.
If he so wishes.
Well, it will leave in correct place unless the administrator decides otherwise. So it won't be our decision.
I would much rather that, I mean, anyway, I would like to know what you think about that. The proposal that we have, that we basically take the call and ask for the administrator to come in. And I think that that's sort of the most neutral thing we can do in terms of the politics and the look of it.
I'm not part of that discussion, but what I could say is that the bringing in administrator is, everyone's reaction is, this is terrible. It may be the best thing that's ever happened to Newer.
Yep.
Okay, if it was me, I would be in support of bringing the administrator in. And you would probably expect me to say this, but I wouldn't be bringing an administrator in having said, oh, by the way, we just fired the general manager. Because if you want to cut your throats, that's the best way.
Precisely.
Because he's coming in where I came in when I joined Newer, when the general manager, the senior weeds officer, the project officer, Matt Benham, you know, every other person in the organisation wasn't available and had to piece all this back together, you know, from ground zero. No, that was me, but I'm not sure. You know, the administrator needs all the help he can get, and there is a way out of this. You know, I can see various alternatives, but I think they're things to discuss with the administrator. You don't want to be making those sort of decisions before he walks in, he or she, as the case may be, walks in the door, because that's a bit presumptuous. It's to say, okay, we've thought long and hard about this, and we'd like to, you know, talk to you about it, etc.
Fine, but I am not going to sit silent when I believe that the governance and administration is lacking, and there are reports from audit office and everyone else to substantiate that. Yes, we're in a financial crisis, and we can't solve that financial crisis, but we aren't responsible for solving the operational governance. And it's been found wanting, Mr. General Manager, and I will have my meeting with the administrator, otherwise it turns in here, and express my concerns that the administration and the governance of this organisation has been found wanting.
I think no doubt we'll all, you know, I don't know if it's, we don't know what this administrator will do.
We need a resolution, sorry.
You'll probably find down the track that the member councils don't pick up their memberships by about 25% for this to be operational. I'm just saying, otherwise it's just marking time. But anyway, they have my intention, I won't be opposed.
Do you want me to frame that, or do you want to frame
I'm
it?
happy to do it.
Yeah, okay, we'll just read out what we've got.
Yeah, and one thing we have discussed about in the past, and it was lost in discussion, and I made a presentation to Armidale Council, I made a presentation to Raoul, that member contributions within Newer are relatively low compared to other weeds authorities. And LLS recently confirmed this to me, and they said typically member contributions are 2 to 2.5 times the WAP contributions. And we're not there because we do something relatively unusual, and that is we do grant funded activity, we do private works activity, and we do work for other councils, etc. And that's all done to keep the, you know, the bill down. So not that that has any bearing on anything, but I just think it's good to, you know, to understand. I think it's also worth, I won't say that. So.
What do you want to do? Do you want to read out your motion, Tim, and then we can revise it too?
That member council acknowledge the critical nature of the services provided by Newer, and would be highly supportive of working with the administrator to resolve the governance and financial issues to ensure the continuation of these critical services.
To our region. Yeah, I'm going to find a resolution.
Yeah, so I'll put that.
Can you, well, you can probably call that, Dorothy, so we'll get the wording right on that.
Who wants to second it? Because I think it should be the chair. I think it should be the chair.
Please.
Well, I'll second it if you like.
Yeah, now beyond this, there's no further discussion with LNG, no further discussion with Commonwealth Bank. This is our response, and leave it at that. Is that correct?
Well, we'd fall over if there was more. They can get back to us, right? OLG and the bank. That's fine.
Well, the bank's everything now.
The bank's not going to get back to us, I can assure you.
So
Yeah.
believe it's administration's problem.
So it's up to the administrator then to,
Determine where the status, state of play.
To councillors here, plus the chair, plus the chair.
Do we want to write a letter? Do we want to write a letter beyond the resolution?
To,
In response to, I don't know, this, the show cause letter from the minister.
I don't think we have, I don't think we have any real, they don't want to really hear, she doesn't want to hear from us, I'm sure. So,
this is.
no, I'll say
No,
no.
it's a he. Minister's he.
Oh, Moriarty, I thought.
Yeah, no, no,
Okay.
Only the local government minister. Yes. I think it's worth writing a letter that says what the resolution says. So it says, following a meeting of councillors, we have passed a resolution that to the following effect.
But the member councils, does it have to go to a council meeting?
No,
It just goes to,
no, we have the delegation from our councils too.
yes, that's all I need. I just know.
And he's not writing to the council, he's writing to the council.
So you should get a response from this.
And what, well, I mean, maybe we should, what we should do because of the cash flow or solvency issue is to ask the minister to act with, as soon as possible.
Can we have a vote on this?
I'm just waiting for the final wording.
Yeah.
I'll forward that Dorothy now. So the board acknowledges the concerns raised by the minister and supports the appointment of the administrator. Member councils acknowledge the critical nature of the services provided by NERA and would be highly supportive of working with the administrator to resolve the governance and financial issues to ensure the continuation of these critical services.
yeah, well, you've read it out. All in favour?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, councillor Arnold.
Well, we've got to come to a decision here for the future of this, it's
Forward that to Tim, unless you've done it.
It should be.
No, you've got
So it should be, it's a hard pill to swallow, I can assure you. That's a failure on my part as well, so. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to dodge that, but it's only
Close and then.
it's pretty hard. Okay,
Right,
back to you.
thank you, everybody. And thank you for all for your patience and your forbearing in this difficult time. I now hereby close the meeting at 2:30 p.m.
Thank you.